Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of NFT Business. I am your host, Jonathan Goodman, and my co-host is Florian Velo. As we get started with this show, I just want to remind you that this is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We have a little bit of exciting news. We have launched our website, which can be found at trigonal.xyz. Currently, we are putting up articles from the videos we've produced, but in the future, we plan to expand that to news and opinion pieces with merchandise and other resources. Florian and I have been talking about what we want this company to look like in the future, and we'll be updating things the more that we get into it. Thank you for all your support, and please visit us at trigonal.xyz. We have a great interview. We have a great guest for you today. This week, our guest is Somi Arian. Somi Arian is a tech philosopher, award-winning filmmaker, author, entrepreneur, and a LinkedIn top voice. With a background in philosophy of science and technology, Somi describes her role in society as a transition architect. As humans merge with technology and society enters a new phase of human evolution, Somi works on frameworks to address the challenges ahead. Somi's documentary, The Millennial Disruption, has won 3 international awards. Her book, Career Fear and How to Beat It, addresses the future of work and the skills we all need to gain to survive and thrive in the age of artificial intelligence. As a speaker, Somi gives talks and workshops internationally on the impact of technology on society and the business landscape, the future of work, developing thought leadership, and digital transformation both in marketing and HR. Somi is the founder of Smart Cookie Media, a modern-day digital marketing firm for thought leaders, and an investor and advisory board member of NuroKor, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Bioelectronics, an exciting wearable technology startup. Somi's latest endeavor is FemPeak, a Web3 education platform where they prepare companies and individuals to participate in the ownership economy and the next generation of the internet. FemPeak is led by women and inclusive to everyone ready to thrive in the emerging world order defined by technology. Welcome, Somi. It is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking I should probably start by saying that we are actually rebranding. We want to make sure because although we are inclusive and we want everybody to work together towards this goal that we have, just because it's called FemPeak, a lot of times gentlemen don't feel like they belong. So we are rebranding. I'm still working on the name, but hopefully maybe by the time that people hear this, we will have that and we can put it in the description for them to see. We really want to build something around the concept of alliance, and male allyship, and men and women working together.
Tell us a little bit about the NFT project, how you moved into the NFT space, how you're utilizing this to give opportunities to women, and as you say, expanding that beyond women.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the project.
Sure, definitely. So the goal here is really bringing together people who have a passion for shaping the future of technology and how technology is impacting, this accelerated human evolution that we are going through. I'm a big believer in the fact that we are moving towards a technological singularity. I think this is upon us. We see all of the volatility that we see in the markets, in the tech stocks. The volatility that we see in everything that is in one way or the other impacted by technology. And these are all signs that we are going towards a state of, complete transition to a whole new type of species. This is what I believe in as as a transition architect and a tech philosopher. I do a lot of thinking about these things. I feel that what's happening to us right now is as big as when we discovered fire and we were able to cook food and our brains changed. In a similar way now, our brains are changing because of the way that we are using technology. And our phones, our computers, they are a extension of our brains. And this is the reason why I'm saying it's being accelerated and something really big is about to happen, is because by all accounts, it appears that by 2029, we are more likely to reach a state of AGI. Our technology will be able to reach AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and it's the time when artificial intelligence will become so powerful and so smart that it can, in many ways, it can supersede us, or at least match us in many ways. And you can already see that. And then what's happening is that is going hand in hand together with blockchain technology and genomics. So the combination of all of these things together, is bringing about the possibility of a whole new type of humanity, or human, we go from Homo sapiens to something else. And I think we are going to see that in our lifetime. So this really the NFT project and what we're building, the platform itself on a surface of it is an educational platform, but the NFT project is really about bringing together enthusiasts, about people who are not afraid of this change and who are celebrating whatever is happening with and they want to actually shape this future of humanity, basically.
So you've kind of evoked so many interesting ideas and questions that I have, aside from the questions that I had, just standard questions. You sound like you're a fan of Cathie Wood's. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I love Cathie. Yes.
Yeah,
and we actually already had on the platform, we had Angela Dalton, who advises Cathie. So, and I've interviewed a few other people who, are around her, and I'm hoping to get her.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of hers. She gets so much negativity and hate on Wall Street, but she really understands that, yeah, you're not investing for today, you're investing for tomorrow. And so many of the Wall Street boys just don't understand the impact that the technology is having, particularly, and I'd like you to speak to this. I talk about this all the time, the repetition that we're seeing. I was in the .coms and the pre-.coms. So I was working with the static HTML until we got dynamic databases and everything like that. I really see an amazing repetition happening in Web3. Do you feel that as well? And can you speak to that?
Yes, absolutely. It is happening, and this time it's happening a lot faster. I'm not wanting to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I do feel like governments and big tech are somehow trying to slow it down a little bit, and partly probably because for practical reasons of being able to cope with it, especially governments, because they just don't know what to do with all of this. So I do feel like they're trying to slow it down so that they can get their head around it, and because it's got incredible ramifications for the job market, the fact that because of this incredible speed of technological advancements, a lot of people are going to be left behind. There are a lot of people who are just not going to be able to catch up, right? So governments do need to slow it down a little bit so that they can find solutions to the social upheaval. And when I mentioned the singularity, so the actual singularity, I don't know if you know Ray Kurzweil, by accounts of Ray Kurzweil, well, he wrote the book, The Singularity is Near. He's written, I don't know if you know that, but he's written another book called The Singularity is Nearer, and it's coming out next year. I've already pre-ordered it. And basically, by his account, he is predicting the point of singularity being around
Use the signal.
1940s.
I think it's fascinating, without me even asking you about the singularity, that you immediately went into that. You know, a lot of people, first of all, a lot of people don't understand what the singularity is, right? And then when you present the idea to them, they get very nervous. You know, they don't. You know, they don't. You know, when I look at the internet, the 1.0, 2.0 version, I asked the mom question: is your mom using the technology, right? So when my mom got onto Facebook, that said to me, okay, we've now jumped the shark. We are at the top peak. Everyone is now going to integrate into the technology. And we don't really have that with Web3. Web3 right now are those rudimentary, you know, computer science nerds. We're all sitting down and we're typing, you know, smart contracts and doing things like that. And we need to get it to that next level where it's integratable with a larger society. You know, for somebody to go in, you know, I talk to my family all the time. Just buy one Bitcoin. Just buy one Bitcoin and back it up to a hard, you know, cold storage wallet, and that just goes over their head as soon as I say, okay, well, you need to get onto, preferably not an exchange, preferably you buy it through your cold storage wallet, but you know, these are the steps that you need to do, and it's just too complicated for them. So right now we're in this, you know, rudimentary time of Web3, and it's really those companies that are going to be able to integrate people into the Web3 environment that are going to win. And one of the things that we're trying to do here is bring up the education level, right? So, you know, a lot of people, when I speak at universities and you know, other, you know, availabilities to speak, you know, I'm talking to a very naive audience that is really hearing about Web3 for the first time. They don't really have that kind of insight as to what the larger, you know, scale of everything is. And I just, you know, everything is rolling much faster, right? So we just had this whole lunar crash. We'll be talking about that later in the program. You know, these are amazing things that are happening at such a rapid speed. They're happening in days instead of months, right? In the Web 1.0, we used to gather together for conventions, and every time you gather together for conventions was like 3 times a year, you would have this advancement in technology, and then we would all implement it. This is happening. You have to be on Twitter. You have to know that this stuff is happening so quickly. It's really incredible. So now kind of take us through that journey of what your project is in the NFT space and how it's going to onboard a lot of people.
So one of the things that I'm seeing quite a lot in the NFT space is that the NFT community only talks about NFTs. You know, like for example, I have a Moonbird. I'm in the Moonbird channel, you know, Discord. I have a few other you know, NFTs where I'm in these communities, and the majority of people are speaking just about their NFTs and the price and like the market. I think it's a bit of a shame, because these are people who are the most technologically advanced. You know, this is I would really like to attract and to get the NFT community to think a little bit bigger and think about the fact that because they are more technologically advanced and they have already created their wallets, they have already, you know, gotten their head around, you know, how this works, they should be the people who are going to take the hands of the other people and you know, bring them up, right? And it's not just about creating a wallet and getting into Web3. It's about thinking about the bigger picture of the future of humanity. And this project in particular is really aimed at those people, because it's much harder to get people who are not in the NFT space. It's too much of a big step for people who are not in the NFT space or haven't created their wallet, to get them to think about all of these things and then go and create their wallet. Like, it's just too much of a big step. So I think that if the NFT community starts to show interest in things other than just their NFTs. I see NFTs as a means to an end, not an end in themselves. It's like, for me, it's a way that you bring together communities of like-minded people, but also create a cross-pollination between these communities, right? So this particular NFT project is really focused on bringing together people who are interested in this whole concept of the singularity, how it's happening, and also it's a community that's passionate about bringing women along. So it's not like another women PFP, because we are going to be releasing another follow up to this that you can only get if you have the first one, and they are male PFPs, and 90% male and 10% other genders, like LGBTQ, etc. So the idea of this is to kind of, and the second project is going to be called Allies, and the idea is to create this alliance. The reason why we started with women in this is because women are always left behind in anything to do with deciding the direction of the future of humanity. So I wanted to make a point by kind of starting it with women and then bringing in male allies. So that's what this project is. But in my lifetime, and the things that I'm building, it's really about onboarding more and more people into thinking about, look, this is where the future of humanity is going. I do believe that we can't bring everybody along. This is like, I'm just thinking statistically, it's pretty much impossible. It's very, very difficult to bring everybody along, because I think the majority, just like today, the majority of people don't think about the macro and the bigger, like, not everybody wakes up in the morning reading philosophy, and most people are like just trying to get on with their day-to-day life, and that's okay. But there's going to be about 5 to 10% of humanity who are going to be in the driving seat, and shaping the future. And that's my target audience. With the rest of humanity, that's also very important. But I can't affect everybody, right? I can at least focus on, my focus is on, like, working with people who are already kind of ready for it, or who are on the verge, maybe they're in the top 20% of thinking about these things, but not yet in the top 5 to 10%, and I can help them transition. That's why I call myself transition architect.
And I'm right in thinking that the utility behind the NFT is actually being part of this FemPeakers group that is going to educate the
That's right. Yes. So it will be part of being, it's about being part of that group. We are bringing in some really amazing speakers, some of the, some people that when you get into these these sessions, you can raise your hand. For example, we had Laura Shin. You could, just raise your hand and come to stage and talk to Laura Shin directly. Like we've had Camila Russo, we've got some really amazing people coming in, and our members have got the ability to not just chat, but they can actually raise their hand and come onto the stage and speak to those people directly. So we're creating opportunities for these incredible connections. For example, I've got Zeneca coming on my podcast, so I will also have him on the platform. So it's like gives our members the direct way to ask questions of some of the top thinkers in the space, and not just in the NFT space, but also in other areas as well. For example, we've had Professor Sarah Seeger, who is one of our actually shareholders. She's an MIT professor of astrophysics. So these are the kind of people that we are bringing on to the community.
That's great. Florian, you had a couple of questions.
Yeah, it's been super interesting to guys to like listen to you two, because I'm still learning like singularity and all those things. I'm really curious because, like you say, you want to try to bring a lot of people in. And then of course we all know that NFT space is kind of like a niche. How do you plan on like spreading the word out? I know you have a big following on Twitter and other social media. You have that website as well. But how do you plan on bringing those other people that are on the verge of being converted? Because I know, like, I play soccer. I talk to my teammates about sometimes what I do, and they just laugh about it. Oh, it's so cool. Like, did you see the next job? But like, they don't really care about it. And how can we bring them on board? That's the difficult part.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. That's why we have also got a normal membership, which is and you know, the platform. That's why what it goes on the surface of the platform, like if you go on the homepage, is different from what you see when you go into the NFT page. So we see our NFT community as being like one step maybe closer, or you know, one step ahead of everybody else. So there will be like normal membership. You know, you can have an annual membership where you just go in to learn about emerging technologies, you know, more like practical things where you upskill yourself and reskill yourself and learn about these things. And then there are people who are going to be NFT holders who are like, basically, if you think about it, like another tier. So there will be some specific IRL events and, you know, things like that that only NFT holders will have access to. Essentially, we see our NFT holders as being like the guide for the rest of the members. I think this is the way that we will create like a more accessible, you know, just like a typical, you know, lifelong learning platform, where people can come in and kind of learn about emerging technologies. As lifelong learning, but with a focus on emerging technologies.
Okay, yeah, no, that's super interesting, and it's always been the hardest part in this space, just how to bring those new people in. And no, really interesting. And I also, so I looked up at the NFT, and then who's your artist? Because I seems like to be like the picture seems to be one of the picture of yours. That's what Jonathan was telling me when you were in a metal band.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's a picture of me when I was in a metal band. We've the artist is our in-house artist. You know, she's also our filmmaker, editor. She's just really, really you know, talented, and we work together on all the color palettes. And so all of the backgrounds are based on different planets in our solar system. So we wanted to do something a little bit different to a lot of the typical kind of what's accepted in the NFT space, because usually what you see is either they're kind of like very flat 2D, you know, style of very, very kind of colorful, like especially if they're female, you know, a lot of pink and things like that. And then or the other way is like you go down kind of like an anime Azuki type thing. So with these ones, we went for something quite different. Like they are a little bit more similar to a picture. So we've taken that picture and it's got those kind of hues and you know, shadows that you would see in a picture. And then, like for example, this one, the background is Earth. And if you look at the original pictures of each of the planets, the color palette of each planet, it, like if you put the Earth, you know, picture next to it, it looks so similar. I think my favorite is, for example, Pluto. You know, these are so that's how we've come up. And what we like about you know, the way that we've done this is that a lot of our members who are already, so our premium members are already getting a free airdrop before we have an official drop. And what they really like is that they feel like it actually looks like them. So we've tried to create this in a way that's kind of as realistic as possible. So for example, a lot of our members, like when they receive their NFTs, they're like, this really looks like me. And we wanted to create it in a way that, like, especially if you look at mine, for example, it really looks like me. So we've tried to do a similar kind of thing. And also we've made sure, you know, to include, you know, people like, for example, you see the Indian, you've got the, you know, Muslim, you know, we've tried to be as realistic as possible with these ones.
Tell us a little bit about the that metal band.
Yeah, I used to be in a death metal band. It was called Mortat. We did really well. I was on the back cover of Metal Hammer magazine. You know, we played to, you know, 2,000 people in Germany. You know, we toured the UK and Europe. And it was a lot of fun. So when I first came from Iran, so I came to the UK in 2005 as a student, and then I studied in St Andrews University. I created the band first in Scotland, and then when I moved to London, I recreated, you know, like, put together the new band members. And yeah, it was like I was a lot of I had a lot of anger, and frustration having come from Iran. So a lot of my, I used to be a very angry person, and it just like, I think that I really kind of, the band really helped me get that aggression out, because when you've come up, when you've grown up in a very aggressive and, in a very kind of oppressive environment, you have a lot of, pressure built. So, yeah, so I got all the aggression out, and then I wasn't angry anymore. And I think a lot of times what happens to people in metal bands is that, like, say for example, I think about people like Marilyn Manson, for example, right? Like they start out with a lot of aggression and pain, and they create their best art. And then when they no longer have that aggression and pain, when they start to get famous, they make a lot of money, then they don't have aggression anymore, and then it kind of isn't authentic anymore, and then it starts to go downhill. So for me, the moment I felt like I wasn't angry anymore, I just gave up.
Well, you still, I'm sure the music is still out there somewhere. People can listen.
Yeah. You can go to YouTube. You can check it out. Just put Mortat. All the bands, all the music comes out.
Yeah, well, I certainly relate to the anger. I was a very angry 20-year-old, so I completely relate to that. And tell us a little bit about and I know I probably mispronounced it, the NuroKor Bioelectronics company that you're involved in.
So NuroKor Bioelectronics is a wearable technologies company that I invested in. Again, because I'm so interested in technology, so it's about how they use waves to help you with pain management, essentially. Very interesting.
Well, thank you so much, Somi. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you being on the show today. Good luck with everything. We will continue to support your NFT project as you get ready to launch that. Thank you so much for being on the
Peace.
show.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a great interview, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like she's really passionate about what she does.
We probably could have talked to her for like another half hour.
Yeah, that flew by. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Um, so we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot that has happened in the space. Uh, the Luna situation. So you've been super busy, super busy.
Yeah, it's been tiring, and I kind of like with what's going on in the space. We've talked about it. It's been kind of overwhelming for me a little bit. So I kind of like took a step back and watched from far without trying to like interact with everything right now. But it's true that when you're on Twitter or when you know people in the space like the Luna, there are things been like really massive.
Yeah. Yeah, Twitter is fascinating to me. I've been on since it started. I created an account like, within the first year that they had launched, but I never really used it to this extent. Now I'm on it all the time. And what's interesting is, everybody has these large audiences, right? Like, people are being followed by, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. But then you have this ability in Twitter to get notified by, who you want to get notified by. And I just find that if I'm not, that I have to very carefully choose who I'm getting notified by in what they're putting out there. And in fact, it's changed for me over the last couple of months. I used to, get tweets from like 40 different people, and now it's really narrowed down because those people are the people that are really giving the right information, and that's why I'm following them. But this whole Luna thing is just incredible. You know Let me just kind of pick up on where I wanted to kind of take us in this conversation. So it turns out that this Luna crash and UST crash was a deliberate attack to show the instability of algorithmic stablecoins. And so I'm going to explain a little bit about what that means to our audience, and then we can kind of have a conversation. So there are two types of stablecoins. There is a reserved backed stablecoin, which is collateralized back to the dollar, which means that every dollar you convert to the USDC is backed by a dollar in a physical bank somewhere, and you can always exchange it one for one. And an algorithmic backed stablecoin is not like that. It's just the underlying asset, but instead there's an algorithm that keeps the digital dollar at the price of a US dollar. And now UST was on the Terra blockchain network, but the goal of the team was to make UST the preeminent stablecoin on all blockchain networks. So there was plenty of liquidity for UST on the Terra network, but not necessarily as much on, say, like the Ethereum or Cardano or Solana networks. So this made it easier to initiate a short attack on UST, which then caused a crisis of faith by the holders of UST and thus Luna. So basically there were two entities, two people, and we'll get into who those people may be, within a 24-hour period that sold over $400 million of UST, withdrawing it from the Anchor protocol, which is the main yield protocol of the Terra network. And I'm sure I've gone over the heads of a lot of people just by saying that. But just understand that there were two attackers. There was a short attacker number one that withdrew $226 million from Anchor, and there was a short attack number two that withdrew $190 million from Anchor, and both happened within a 24-hour period. And what that caused is a cascading liquidation effect into the whole system. So the creator of Tron, now we're getting into who may have been responsible. So he's a competitor of Luna UST. So what he did was he bought a bunch of UST, and that kind of alerted the Terra team. And then that's when this Justin Sun, who is the creator of Tron, said that, he may have a secret plan going on. So now I have to add in another fact here. So about a week before the attack, the creator of Terra UST, whose name is Do Kwon, bought a large amount of Bitcoin as a precaution. So whoever sold that Bitcoin to Do Kwon is also a suspect, because they then received a lot of UST in that transaction. So how did this all wind up? So on Monday, May 9th, UST lost its peg. What does that mean? So it means that it should be at $1, but it fell to about $1. It fell to about 95 cents. And stablecoins are supposed to match the US dollar, so losing 5 cents is a really big deal. Then on Tuesday, May 10th, UST continued losing value, and the Luna Foundation deployed capital in an attempt to stabilize the coin. And then on Wednesday, May 11th, UST dropped to 80% of its value. This created an arbitrage opportunity. And for those of you that don't understand what an arbitrage opportunity is, it's when you can take advantage of a difference in price between two markets. Now, a lot of people in DeFi, in Web3, are doing this on a daily basis. They are looking for differences between the exchanges, and then they're making a ton of cash. So let's say, for example, just because a lot of people understand stocks better, let's say that Tesla was both on the NASDAQ and the Japanese stock exchange, which they are not. So Tesla is only on the NASDAQ. So because there might be a delay in Japan lagging the difference of sales by about 10 seconds, I could write a bot that says, when there is a big enough discrepancy in price between these two markets, I want to do an arbitrage system where I then buy on the NASDAQ and sell immediately on the Japanese market, and I make the money between those two differing prices. It's very difficult to do. You really need a lot of good coding and bots to do it, but this is basically what happened. So when UST traded below $1 and was no longer pegged to the Luna, an infinite loop occurred and diluted the existing supply of Luna until it was worthless. $500 billion were wiped off of the market. Luna Foundation had to liquidate $1.5 billion of Bitcoin from its reserves, causing Bitcoin's price to drop below $26,000. That's a crazy story.
It is. It is. The thing is, what for me, like that kind of like followed the story from far. Like, what's the relation between Luna and Terra? Are they not two different things?
So
How can
so
one affect
Luna
the other?
so Luna is the coin on the Terra network. So
And I get it. I get it.
here's where everybody kind of gets confused, is that the coin on Ethereum network is called Ethereum,
Mhm.
right? But as more people rolled out blockchain, for instance, the Richard Hart project, the blockchain is going to be called Pulse Chain, but the coin that is going to be the denomination is going to be called PulseX. So there, yeah. So it's Luna is the coin on the Terra network.
Okay. All right. And
But
so,
it really shows that the algorithmic stablecoins are not secure.
yeah, but then now from this, where do we go? Like, is there a way to for this like stablecoin to go back up? Is there a way like that they can recover from it?
Well, there are a lot of people who've lost a lot of money, and they want to convince a lot of other people that Luna has an opportunity to come back up. I there are I have seen so many scams on Twitter and on YouTube over the last week about Luna, hyping Luna, how everything's going to come back. And I mean, look, you have to do your own research. You have to make your own calls. No one can, you need to be financially responsible for yourself. And I was even listening yesterday to really intelligent financial advisors, and they asked him, would you invest in Luna at this point? And this was a couple of days ago. So Luna was at $1. And he said, yes, I invested a small amount of money in Luna when it got to $1. Now realize that it went from $102 down to $1. So that's where all that wealth got lost. But now it's at 0.0001 cent. So that financial advisor, even if he just put $200 in at $1 each, he's still lost. There's no coming back from this, because at the end of the day, look, it's hard enough to get investors to fund projects, right? Everyone who is making money in the blockchain now is fortunate that they have investors that are willing, that are confident enough in the people that are running these blockchains to give them money. No one is giving Luna money. No one with the financial. It would take $1 trillion to bring Luna back up into $100 per coin mark. It's just it's not feasible. There are so many other things that you can do with your money. And I would just say to anybody that there are a lot of scams going on now. People are mistakenly buying Luna in the hope that it will make a return. And I listen, this is not financial advice, but there's no way that this is going to happen. So there is a bigger issue here. A lot of people are just throwing their money out when they, look, we get excited, right? You get excited about the NFTs, and I get excited about the crypto and the DeFi. We don't really know. You can only do the amount of research that you yourself understand, right? If you're not a financial person, looking at the white papers that are talking about the coins or talking about the finances, it may mean something to you. It may mean nothing to you. Look, there are financial advisors that, I've had conversations with, and I've walked away and I was like, I don't think they understand a financial statement. Like, you just don't know. You have to take in, look, why am I invested in the Richard Hart project that's launching allegedly next week? Uh, you know, he's a character. It was an immediate decision. This was, again, during a period of time that I was just throwing money into DeFi. I wasn't really doing that much research. I put $1,000 into, 3 different protocols, 300, 300, 300, and I've lost all that money. That money's not coming back. Those DeFi protocols are gone. I put $300 into PulseX, and we'll see where that goes. Do I have faith that it's going to get to $1 and I'm going to have $3 million? I don't know, but am I okay in losing the $300? I totally am. What I'm concerned about is the mental health of people who have put their life savings into Luna and these other projects that, look, if you're sitting on $1 million and it's in savings and you put $100,000 investment in and you lose that $100,000, you still have $900,000. But what we're finding is that it's not those people. It's not those people. That's not how they're investing. They're sometimes taking their rent money, hoping that they're going within a month flip that out and make $2,000 in their $1,000 investment. But if everything goes away and you've lost that $1,000, now you can't pay your rent. Now you can't pay your mortgage. Now you can't pay the grocery bills. This kind of feeds into like a whole other mental health conversation. And, we really, so look, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had some successes. I've had a lot of failures. All of those are learning and teaching experiences that you kind of work through. You're an athlete. I only attend the games, but I can only kind of impose what I think goes on, which is incredible highs and lows for you. And particularly, your career, you've had major injuries that have had incredible setbacks that you've had to come back from. Your highs and lows must be, I don't know, you have to kind of like fill me in on that, because I think a lot of people look at athletes and we see this with Simone Biles, right? Who had to leave the Olympic, theater in competition because of her mental health. And I don't think people pay enough attention to athletes' mental health.
I don't think so. Again, like I'm not comparing what happened with Luna and what happening in the sport industry for athletes regarding mental health, but mental health is a big issue. It's an unspoken issue. A lot of people see athletes as they see them on television, with some of the top athletes getting all the praise, getting all the money, getting all those like shiny things, but underneath that, it's just like the tip of the iceberg. Underneath that is so much work, so much dedication, and then a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure that's being given by the player to himself, the pressure from the outside as well. And social media hasn't helped with that, because we've seen a lot of hate going on, like athletes being like rashly abused or abused mentally, because of course, like I had that in NuroKor, for example, when you played well, they don't say anything, and then but when you play really bad, you get those messages like you don't want to see that, because like it just challenges you mentally, and it's really difficult to get over with. Regarding like injuries as well, like being sidelined for a few months, almost a year, it's difficult to deal with, and we don't want to appear weak. I think that's the reason why we don't talk about it, but I've overcome it using a sports psychologist, and it's been super helpful, and I'm an advocate for it. I would love for help younger athletes to do it, because it's important. It helped me a lot. That's the reason why I write as well, just to put everything into words, so I have like some kind of support and let all the emotions out. But yeah, it's hard to talk about mental health. But once you do the first step, like you feel so much better, as I did with the sports psychologist I've been working with. But yeah, again, like those people that it's so different, because they invest their savings, they invest their life's money into a project that just turns out to be zero, and what do I do next, and And this is in those moments where you need support. You need to feel comfortable talking about it with your family, your friends, even those that might not like understand what you've been through. It's important, like, to have that kind of support. And if they are your friends, they'll be there to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, we should say that, there have been 8 unverified suicides due to the Luna project, the Luna crash. This was something that was mentioned on one of the Twitter business NFT crypto channels that I watch. Again, unverified, but still, when people kind of go all in, what's interesting is, like, when we say, like, you're going all in, like, what does that mean for you? Because it, you know it shouldn't it shouldn't you shouldn't be risking your financial stability when you start to invest at a level where the risk is greater than the reward. And understandable, like, Luna jumped up to 100 and some odd dollars, and so everyone was very excited. Now look, the PulseX chain, when that goes live, I have a number in my head that I want to extract out, right? There is a I want to It's not just make back the $300 that I put in. That would be nice, but I would like to take care of certain business things that I would like to, utilize with that money. But I'm only willing to do that at a fraction of the amount of tokens that I have. And the rest are just going to be left in there for a very long time. I think a lot of people go in thinking, this is it, this is the one, this is the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, this is the next Tesla, this is the next Microsoft or something like that. And they put in so much money, not realizing that, hey, if it is that successful, if you did put $1,000 into Amazon the day that it launched as an IPO, today you'd have multi-million dollars. You have to be able to wait and hold that out, and then also go into the right projects. Obviously, if you had invested $1,000 into Netscape, well, that money's gone now. But at some point it did go up. You have to be happy in taking that out. But, getting back into the whole mental health conversation, I've experienced a tremendous amount of death. I wrote this in the notes, and, I just don't know at 50, almost 52 now. There was a decade where, my grandparents died, my aunt died, some of my cousins died. Being in the LGBT community, there have been a lot of people that I know that have passed away. I've had college friends that have passed away. I've had personal friends now due to COVID that have died. It's a lot of death, and it weighs on me considerably. And I had this kind of weird experience about a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say how many years ago, where things had just completely fallen apart. I had a back injury. My long-term relationship was ending. My financial stability was questionable. All of those happened at one point. And being out of it now, I can kind of speak about what that felt like. And I can only say that it's depression. It was depression now that I've been out of it. It's very hard to know when you're actually in, like, a depressed state. But I kind of described it in the notes to you that, I could be standing on a sunny beach and it could be a beautiful day and watching the sunset, but all I would visually see would be darkness. You're just surrounded by darkness. Now, in the case of these Luna suicides, I think that those tend to be more reactionary, and they're not just like long-term darkness, depression kind of thing. But I don't normally, I'm not introspective outwardly. I see myself for who I am, and I can see it internally, but I don't talk about it a lot. This is actually the first time that I'm talking about it. but it's this amazing kind of bizarre thing that goes on even with your eyesight, with your mental state. You just feel like you're in complete darkness. And it's very hard for other people. It's like the same with, you have knee pain, you have a knee injury, I have a back injury. It's very hard to explain to people what that feels like. If it's like giving birth. Like if you haven't given birth, you can't explain to somebody who can't give birth what that feels like to push a baby out of your body. And it's the same thing with depression. It's very hard to explain to somebody that you're in a depressed state because they will just simply say, oh, do something fun, have something, have a nice day, go and have an ice cream, go take a walk. And it's not that. There is a physical element to depression that really manifests, at least for me, it manifested in seeing everything in a gradated, dark fog. It was quite incredible.
Yeah, it's something that you can explain because it varies from people to people. But having been through that as well, like you don't want to do anything, no matter how good it sounds, how good like people want you to do something, you don't want to do it. You just want to be by yourself, usually in a dark room, and then just like, but then again, it's a negative spiral. Like you start doing this, and then it's really hard to get out of it. I had to get into like a big fight with my mom, so like it's things snapped and be like, okay, well, I have to do something about it. But yeah, it's difficult to get out of it, but like it's not that hard if you have the right support, and you can take that into your own hands. And there's like a lot of people that talk about it, a lot of people that open about it. There's probably a website or a line that you can call. That there's more and more help nowadays just to like get over depression or mental health issues.
Yeah, there is in the United States, we have a number. It's 1-800-273-8255. That's available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or you can visit the suicidepreventionlifeline.org to get help. And it's very important. It's that border between, it's understanding that you need the help before you really harm yourself. And you know I I've been I've been friends with people that have committed suicide. I've had situations like that. And it's, I don't know, it's very hard for me to say this next part because I understand how controversial it is. But, you know, suicide is the worst thing that you could do for the people around you. It is the most selfish thing that you can do because it removes you from the equation, and it forever impacts the people around you. They are never the same because of what your decision was to end your life. And look, I mean, I wake up, at,
Right.
at 52 now, I have to say, I wake up every morning blessed to having opened my eyes and breathing air and being able to walk and enjoy this amazing planet that we have.
No, I agree. And the thing is, like, taking your own life is just easy to just like kill your own pain, but then you're causing more pain to the people that stays, because I am sure they are wondering like, what happened? What did they do wrong? What can they have done to help you? And I think that's the worst part. So it's just like thinking about the people that surround yourself might help you just get out of it. It's not easy, I know, but it's just causing pain to the people that you love isn't the thing you want, like by leaving this earth. So it's
No,
it's something you have
no.
to think about. And I know it's
People
not
people
easy, but
don't see that. This is something that you're going to address more on the website on trigonal.xyz. You're going to really kind of talk about what it means to be an athlete, and tell us a little bit about where that's going.
So yeah, like we've decided together to put everything into a website where we can share all the information that we do find that we have. Like you've been like doing great production with the videos, and I think having this in one platform could be great, and it can give me my own platform as well to talk about the sport industry and my journey that's been really unusual to the pros. My goal being like helping young athletes in their development, and as we talk about it, one of the topic I talk about is mental health, because it's been really important in my success and in my life. But there's a lot of other topics I'm going to talk about. There's a bunch of stuff that are already ready, because my plan in the future is to put everything into a book or comic book. But yeah, I think it's important to let others athlete knows that, okay, like what you see on the field is there's a lot of work behind. There's a lot of like setbacks, a lot of like things you have to deal with, and it's never easy. But you can get over it, like, and then there's a way out if you really want to, because I turned pro at 23. It's not a young age. I've been through a lot of really bad injuries that could have ended my career if I wanted to, and I'm still here. So it's been a fun journey, and I want to talk about it and hopefully like empower other people with it.
Yeah, and I think from a non-athlete perspective, the focus is incredible, right? I'm somebody who, I'm kind of like a MacGyver, right? I can learn to code, I can learn to fix a car, but I don't have a focus. I don't have a specific, I'm very good at a lot of different things, but you're very, very good at one specific thing. That mental focus is is something that I'm very interested to see you get into from the website and the articles and everything like that. We'll talk about metaverse players
Yeah.
next week. Just a little hint to everybody about the metaverse players. The launch did not go well. The floor has now dropped below the price of the original purchase, even with the discounts. They have not sold the number that they thought that they were going to. And I'm trying to get someone from one of the major collectors from one of the other projects to come onto the show and explain to us what's going on behind the scenes, because it's not great. But I did want to talk about Gladi Knights. So full disclosure, I am an advisor on the Gladi Knights project. Their launch is Wednesday, May 25th. Now, due to the recent market downturn, they have decided to release a Genesis project of 1,000 NFTs instead of the full 10,000. They are going to release the remaining 9,000 in the future, but right now they are focused on satisfying the audience they have built. I believe it's the right decision to only release these Genesis 1000 NFT projects. There will be added perks for collectors of the Genesis project, and Gladi Knights have a good roadmap. I believe in the team. They are dedicated to producing a long-lasting project with many features to come. And if, like me, you're an avid collector of NFTs, this is a good project to get into. Again, this isn't financial advice. Do your own research. But if you're not looking to flip and instead are interested in investing in good art with a good team, this is a project you should check out. If you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe and add notifications. Thank you for watching. And if you can please add a comment, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you everybody so much. We will see you soon. We have a couple of other great guests coming onto the show that we're excited about.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.